Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Lisa Marie, and this evening we have Kaylyn joining us. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about your book,
Thank you for having me.
for being our book of the month for Only for a Moment, Times All for Nothing. I feel like this is kind of serious, like two-part book that you can't do one or the other. Some books you could do one or the other, but this a whole book for real, for real.
They go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah, like you can't, like, you know how some books you could have one or the other.
Yeah.
It's the whole shebang, shebang. So, real quick, before we get into that, while we have people joining us, let's do some quick warm up questions, some quick icebreakers.
Okay.
Don't think too hard, just answer. Y'all authors be thinking too hard, okay?
Listen, my brain only knows hard. Like, I don't know.
This supposed to be fun.
Okay, I'm ready.
Water, wine, coffee, or tea?
Tea.
Morning or night?
Morning.
Digital or print?
Print.
Standalone or series?
Standalone.
Music or quiet?
I couldn't hear the first part.
Music or quiet?
Music.
Okay,
Must.
that wasn't too bad.
It's a must.
Music is a must. The music plays a big part of setting the vibe, setting the tone.
Yeah, I'm a big music girly anyway. And if it's too quiet, oddly enough, I can't function. Like my brain will easily get distracted. So I'm usually like I have a writing playlist that I usually listen to. So there's songs that I
Every
literally.
book,
Hmm?
like, is it different for every book, or it's like just a writing playlist in general?
So it's a general writing playlist. And lately I have been kind of curating playlists for the book, but typically it's just a writing playlist that I typically will play on shuffle. And I know most of the songs by heart, so I don't have to think too much on it. It's just kind of like chill music to kind of set the vibe a little bit. Because if it's too quiet, then I can't focus, oddly enough.
Okay. Well, before we get into the book, let's get to know you a little bit, Kaylin. Where are you from? And when you're not writing, what do you like to do?
I am a Virginia girly. I'm born and raised Virginia, Virginia Beach, and now I live in Norfolk. And when I'm not writing, what do I like to do? If I have time, then I like to read movies. I love music. I love going to concerts. I love hanging out with my friends. I'm a real low maintenance kind of girl. So anything just chill and that just is fun. Like I don't need much to have fun.
Okay. You mentioned when you're not writing, you like to read. What's your favorite genre? And if you could tell us three must read books that every sister girl book should read.
Now that's a good question. Typically I like romance. I'm not a contemporary romance because it's kind of slow for me, which is odd because my books can be a little slow too. But I typically like urban romance. Urban fiction is what I enjoy reading the most. And three books that every sister girl needs to read. Ooh, that's hard because I haven't had time to read lately. So
It doesn't have to be new. It could be any books. It could be any books.
let me look on my where's my I can't even pull it up. Three books that every sister. So lately I have been in Brielle Hall. She's a new author and I really enjoyed her books. I think Insomnia is the first one
Oh,
and Abandonment I think is the second one. And there's also a book by Sabria Marie, Chasing Serenity or Road to Serenity.
okay.
Really good too.
So those are your three books.
Yes,
Okay. I read Insomnia. That was really good.
it
So,
was. I enjoyed it. I ate that up.
what inspired you to want to become an author?
I was always a very reading. I'll say reading for sure, but I was always a very, imaginative, creative kid.
Hmm.
But reading, like I've always loved reading, and it's just something that kind of happened. I would still my sister, I have an older sister, and I would steal her Zane books after school. I would go in and like read a little bit, and then
Hmm.
I have to like remember where my page was and put it back away
Oh wow! And
because
put
she's
it.
12 years older than me, so I really had no business.
She's a lot older than you, so
Yeah,
you have no business reading that book.
none. I had no business. Had none. So I would have to sneak it and kind of read my little couple of pages before everybody would come home, and then like tuck it back. So from there, I just started getting ideas, and it was initially something I just did for fun, just something to do. Because it's just a world that you can create. You are in control. And as a teenager, I didn't really feel in control, so it was kind of my way, I guess, of coping, or like, because I can't control what's going on in my life, or the world that I'm in, but I can create this world where I am in control.
I like that. I think this is my
Part
first
of being
time.
fun.
First time hearing that answer. That's a good answer though. That's brilliant.
Hey,
So what? Okay, so you started as a teenager. What made you want to turn it into a career?
it was literally something I did on a whim. Because initially it was something I just did. It was kind of like a hobby. And nobody knew about it. Nobody knew that it was just something I would do and literally never tell anybody. And I remember my mom found, because back in the day you had a family computer. It wasn't a bunch of individual devices.
Yeah, these kids know nothing about that.
They don't know that life. So she had found a story that I wrote, and she had like to work.
You had to use the AOL disk.
Yes, dial up, and nobody could be on the phone
unless you had 2 lines in the house.
Right. And that was a privilege back then. Most, we didn't have that. So yeah, she found one of my stories, and she had like let people read it. And I was like, how could you do that to me? You had paid
it was a violation of your privacy.
Yes, because like, girl, this is my secret. Like, why are you telling everybody? But I would read a lot of Casey Mills books, and there was I think in the beginning of one of the books that she was accepting submissions. So me and my husband were going to a wedding that night, and I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. So I'm gonna just submit it, and then we're gonna go to the wedding, and I'm not gonna really be thinking about it, because I'll be out and doing something, because otherwise I'll just sit and obsess, and that'll just drive me nuts. So I hit submit, and we went to the wedding, and literally the next day she had emailed me back, and I was like, oh my God, this is happening.
I'm doing this.
Yes. And I'm like literally the last person who should be doing this. So it's like, oh,
why would you need to be the last person?
Because I'm so like, I don't like talking about myself. I don't like putting myself out there. Like, if people ask me like, oh, what do you do? A lot of times I'll just be like, oh, I work from home. Horrible traits as an author.
And this is what you do full time.
Yeah, this is my real job.
No, some people balance. I've talked to people who've done both, who just focus on this. Yeah. So
I used to, but then I eventually, after I had my son, I was like, I can't do all of this anymore. Like 2 kids, like I just can't. So my husband was like, go ahead and quit. And I was like, okay.
Well, this is a real job though.
I work harder doing this than I did at my job.
Right. It's so funny because I do like something I do bring up to authors, which a lot of authors have told me, like, they started writing a lot younger, high school, middle school. And what I also always find so interesting is somebody who's been reading for just as long and who has, you read books all your life.
Yeah.
But thinking of being an author as a job is just so far-fetched.
It does, especially for our community. I feel like it was something, and maybe that's why I never thought that I would, like I just didn't. My mom was a nurse. My sister was a nurse. It was always preached about job security, and art wasn't a thing that you could actually live off.
But it's so weird because it's a whole curriculum.
Really?
It's a whole curriculum.
Yeah.
You have English class and you read in English class. You have to write book reports. Is one of the earliest things kids start to learn how to do. To develop comprehension skills, creative writing classes. Like, you literally do it all your life. But when you think about it, how often do you hear somebody saying, oh, I'm an author, I'm becoming an author, when you're a child? Like, now,
yeah,
and in this community, you hear it a lot. But now, but when you were growing up, did you often hear, oh, you could become an author?
Never. Like, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was a thing, honestly. I didn't something I would ever, if you told younger me that this is what I would be doing like full time, I'd be like, you are full of it.
Even after your mom showed your family your story, you clearly had the ability. She was proud of you for writing this story. It still never dawned on you like, oh, become an author.
Never. It was just something I enjoyed doing, so I did it. Even as I got older and like high school and stuff like that, even after becoming an adult, it was just something I did because I enjoyed it. Never really thinking that it could be a career or a job.
And now here you are.
It's still mind-blowing.
And what year was it that you sent that initial transcript to KC Mills?
That was late 2016.
And here we are almost a decade later.
I know. And it's still a wild ride.
So, you said you like creating your own worlds. Tell us about how you got the inspiration to create this current world that we're talking about, which is the world between Ari and Six. What
I
was
don't
the
like being
inspiration?
told I can't do things. I'm
Mm,
very oppositional at heart. And my readers get on me all the time because I typically write long books. And I just like, and I love as a reader long books. So I write what I like to read. But as an author, I want the flexibility to not always have to or feel it, because even when I'm like, oh, this book will be short, it still ends up being 500 pages. So
right.
it was more so a challenge that I set out for myself. Like, okay, we are going to write a short book, because every time I post about a novella, my readers are like, girl, hang it up. Like, let
And,
it go. Like,
and
no.
let me tell you, I don't read novellas. I don't read them because I am the kind of reader who I need to be completely immersed, and I don't think a lot of authors
It's a skill.
have truly honed the skill set of bringing you fully into this other world in the length of novellas, which are typically about 100 to 150 pages. It's under 120,000 words. Most people have not truly honed that skill set. And by the time you get in touch with the characters, it's kind of done. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what happened? And you leave with a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, I read Only for the Moment when it was just in a novella form because Six was everywhere, okay? And you know that. You already are aware, okay? It was free Six until they free Six. And I was like, well, who is Six?
They were on my head bad.
I don't read, I think it was what, 160 pages? Like it
It
was
was
long,
short.
it was short, but I was like, I was like, I have to read this. I was so curious. Like sometimes I get overly curious because of the book club, and when I see something over and over again, I don't always love it. Even if I see it over and over again, I always. But baby, I said, now this is a novella. Now this is good. This is good.
Thank you.
Good because it was not the norm. It was not the norm. It was new. It was new. Like Thanksgiving is not a holiday a lot of people write
And
about.
that was another reason I picked it as well, because I'm like, I never do theme books. I'll plan it and then something happens and never happens. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do? Because I was also getting surgery and I knew that I didn't have the time to, like, I only have this X amount of time, so I can maybe do something short to put out something before. So I'm like, oh, Thanksgiving, that's not a holiday that, and I know I've seen in other groups, people are asking for Thanksgiving Rex. So I'm like, okay, maybe that could be a thing. So it
Okay.
together with a bunch of pieces just kind of getting thrown together that eventually made a pretty picture. So
How did you feel about the reception of Only for the Moment? Were you
I'm
shocked?
shocked. I'm always shocked though, because I'm like my worst critic. So I'm always shocked. But I think this kind of topped it. I was like, what is wrong with y'all? Y'all knew that man was going to jail, and then, like, how else did y'all think this book was going to end?
It was, yeah. It was because it was like, you know, he's going to jail and you know what's going on. But that world, like that whirlwind romance, like even I was just telling my brother about it. I was like, it was 3 days. It was like 3 or 4 days. It was not like it was quick. It was quick. It was quick. It was quick. But it was so much drama. It was so much intimacy. It was like, that's why I said you really did that. I have to give you your flowers because it's not easy to build that much intimacy and passion in such a short amount of time. And it was like, yeah, that you did that. So I'm gonna
Ew.
did that. You get your flowers for that because I was like, wait a minute. And then to have so many people rooting for Six, it was just like, wow. Like Six was everywhere for like six
Was.
for like 6 weeks until like Christmas books came out. Six was everywhere.
Yeah.
You could not into a group and not see Six. And it was like, well, who's Six? It was like, and then I
Man.
think even funnier was people started like creating like
Yes.
for him and all types of graphics for him. And I'm like, oh, people are dedicated. Like people are into this. What is going on? I had to read it for myself. Then when I read it, I was like, the girls were lying about this one.
Yeah, let me see what's going on. Are they telling the truth or what?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm one. I'm glad because I don't read novellas. I mean, anybody will say I do not do short stories. I don't like, it's not my thing. I don't nothing against the short story girlies. It's just not for me. Every reader has their preference. Baby, when I see a book for 500 pages, that's when I jump for joy. That's
injected in my veins now.
I'll be up till 4 a.m. Thank you. So question before we get into more details. Was there always going to be a follow-up, or was the response the pressure like, I got to give these people a book?
Honestly, the pressure almost got the book canned. So it was not always.
The girl said, no, y'all almost didn't get this book.
Okay. So it wasn't always planned, but I knew I wasn't supposed to get this attached to them. Like, I literally had so much fun, like, writing it. And towards the end, and I had been saying, like, I wanted to do a secret baby, but I didn't want it to be like, because to hide a baby, you got to have a good reason, to me. And this is just my opinion. But you get like, oh, well, I was just scared to tell. Like, no, like, there has to be some depth to why you are scared. And this is just my brain and the way that I think about it. So I wanted to do a secret baby, but I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I want to put my own spin on it. And I want it to be a little bit unique. So when it comes to me, I'll do it. And then as I got toward the end, I was like, it's here. It's happening. Like,
you finally found a way to work that trope into something you were already working on rather than rewriting a whole different book.
And then when everybody read it, it's like, oh my God, he has to get out of jail. She has to have a baby. And I'm like, you're ruining it. I'm not having fun anymore.
Y'all moving too fast. Slow down. Slow down.
Don't tell everybody. Gosh. So no, it was before it came out, I had already accepted I'm gonna do a part 2.
Yeah, because I had text Lex, and I said, Lex, when All or Nothing came out, I said, Lex, ain't no way she wrote a 600 book this fast. I see this book had been in the works. I said, baby, it's 600 pages. We about to get down and dirty, okay? I said, this book's 600 pages.
And could have kept writing, and I had to cut stuff because I'm like, listen, this book is never gonna end. Like, come on, like, hang it up.
Can we get, like, you know how they have like unedited? Can we get the unedited seeds?
And what's funny is there's so many versions because a lot of stuff got changed at the last minute. Like the whole night out, we're jumping the gun now, but that night out where they went to the bar and stuff, it's like 3 versions of that night that happened.
That was the night the sister with the sister and
he went back to her house, and she finally decided I want my man. Went back to her house.
But Chase was at the house, and
he wasn't originally at the house. That was we can add a little drama here. Let's go ahead and do that.
But see, it was just enough drama, and I want to get into that because how did you pace yourself in making? So it was easy to get caught up in the whirlwind romance for 3 days because it was weird because we had Ari's family drama, but 6 was like her anchor. But now, in All or Nothing, we get 6 as a full person. He's not just this caricature of somebody who's taking care of Ari, even though it was so weird because Ari was taking care of him and hiding him. She was literally aiding and abetting, and should have probably been in jail herself, but we're not going to discuss that because don't do that to the girl.
Listen, he wouldn't have if she would have went to jail, he would have broke out and got her out. It's no way.
Ari was aiding and abetting, so it's like it was so weird because even though she was there for 6, he was taking care of her.
Yeah.
But then in the full-length novel, it was so much drama, but it wasn't. I don't want to say made up drama because clearly this is all made up. So it's like it's so. But it wasn't drama that wasn't relatable to their relationship. Like it made sense within the relationship. How did you it wasn't overdone? Like it was like, oh, this actually makes sense. Like for him to be a problem.
So a lot of my books, I'm not a big overt drama. Like a lot of my drama in my books anyway just come from personal experiences, their flaws, and their character anyway. But I don't know if you watch BMF, but in the beginning when 50 Cent says like some of this might have really happened, some of this stuff in this book might have really happened. Not the aiding and the abetting part, because I don't do jail and I don't risk going to none of that part. But a lot of the family things and the family dynamics were kind of, some of it was pulled from real
Life
experience.
experiences. Okay.
But I wanted to give more of Six because, like you said, we didn't really know anything. Like the only glimpse we got into his world was when he got into it with Bodhi.
It,
Outside of really see, he mentioned a sister. He didn't really talk about his family. It was just her family.
right.
So the hardest part, honestly, was balancing that part because I know in a lot of the reviews and stuff, people were saying how, they loved her family dynamic and they wanted to see more of that. So I'm like, I can't lose the essence of that. But now we have to incorporate him because we have to go to his world because we
Because
spent
he's a whole person now. He's
right
in the
whole
in the in the novella. It was coming into Ari's world. Like everything took place in Ari. In the background was Ari's
right,
world. But if they're going to be in a relationship, and the book is about the relationship, it's now two fully fleshed out people in a
right,
relationship, and they're both carrying baggage into a relationship. And it's like, can this really work, or are we so wrapped up in how we saw them interact in only this one part?
right.
And it leaves a question mark of, do we really want this whole story? Because what if they don't work?
What if they don't work?
Was there ever a time where they were not going to get a happily ever after?
No, and it was more so because I attached, and he had just gone through so much. I felt like at that point, I could not. I just didn't. He needed that. I felt like a lot of times readers want a certain ending, but I feel like he truly needed that. Like he needed her, he needed his kid, like he needed that because he had lived a hard life, and he had never really dreamt or been really happy or felt like he had people who genuinely cared, and I just felt like he needed that.
Mhm.
And so yeah, there was no. They were always now. How
I
did
mean,
they got
she could have ended up with Chase.
she? She wasn't there with that man. No, they needed that. I feel like they needed each other. So I think that there was never a time. Now, were one of them maybe going to have to settle in order for them to be together? Maybe because I almost made somebody keep that baby and that baby. But I ain't want to do that to him because I was like, he has just suffered enough. Like, my man's got to listen. He's been through a lot. Don't do that to him. He can't be stuck with her.
Yeah, Six had experienced a lot of trauma due to circumstances outside of his control. And then
Somewhere.
some stuff was a repercussion and consequence of his own actions. Um, how did you, some of this stuff might be based on a true story, but for the sake of this conversation, how did you research and decide how to shape Six's character and his triggers?
So really in the beginning, I tried to, because I'm a long-winded baddie, it was okay. Let's get in and get out. And then we can go back and, fluff things out because that's the only way for me and my brain to keep this short. Is
Mhm.
let's stick to the meat and the bones, and then where things need to be, detailed or embellished, we can go back. But I'll start getting attached to stuff if it's already written, and then I don't want to cut it. So I'm like, okay, let's just. But as far as his trauma, I wanted to think a little bit outside of the box. As far as where the trauma, like the origin of the trauma. And I think I was scrolling Twitter and it was talking about like a thread on Katrina.
Mhm.
I was like, because I feel like a lot of times I was much younger when Katrina happened, but
Yeah.
I remember like reading a lot of stuff and people saying how, the effects of Katrina were kind of like people just don't understand how you literally had everything and then now your whole life is
You have
gone.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was really and that's typically how my ideas work. Like I'll see one thing and then it just kind of spawns from there. So that was the basis of it. And I didn't want to, I
But
was
then it was stuff with his mom too.
it got to a point where I was like, I don't even want to type this lady name no more. She is driving me up a wall.
And then the stuff with his mom was like, whoa. Like, how could you think so lowly of your child and not have any accountability as to how your child turned out and why he started looking for community outside of what you provided for him, why he started running with these people, why he felt the need to go out and do the things that he did.
I think that sometimes in that generation of parents, it's hard for them to understand that two things can be true.
Mm.
Did the best you could, but was it enough? No, it wasn't. Like, because realistically, putting yourself in her position, she had it hard too. I couldn't imagine, like, you lost everything. Your husband is no longer himself. Your children have been separate. Like, you literally lost everything that you worked for. So her trauma wasn't to be ignored, but just acknowledge that you were not in the space to give your kids what they needed.
I think the fact that she never extended an olive branch, even when she needed him, like, it took Ari kind of putting her in her place, and she still didn't. She just shut up. She didn't try.
And it was just because one thing I can say about him, he was very accountable. So
Mm-hmm.
in their conversations, it's like, I didn't do myself any favors. I'll own that part. However,
However,
there, honey, you
you
weren't
were you weren't parenting.
right. Like, you were there, but you weren't there, and that hurts. So I think that that was the hardest part, is that he had to. And I think that was some of the lessons in it, is just accepting sometimes that the people that you want to love you in a certain way, they can't sometimes.
Mm.
Have to learn to be okay with that, because if you keep kind of forcing it, you're just kind of hurting yourself, because they are who they are.
Which
So
is also why Ari stopped trying to force her relationship with her sister.
yeah, because I think, I don't really see how that could have been salvaged any more than it was. It's just like, kind of like, let's just leave it alone, because they talked till they was blue in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Never went anywhere, because Kayla just, she didn't think she was wrong about nothing.
About anything.
No peace. You can't make peace with somebody like that. There is no the closure is just accepting that this is who she is, and I'm either going to take it or I'm going to leave it. And for her, she got to a place where she was like, you know what, I'm going to leave it, because it's just not worth it.
So we dived into Six and his character. Let's talk about Ari, because Ari easily falls into this independent woman, strong Black woman. Um, she's family oriented. She's in educate, like, she's the full package on paper, right? And what was the first? First, let me ask this: what was important for you to highlight this kind of woman being loved in this story?
I think just being a Black woman who's often viewed as strong and I can handle all these things. And it's like, are y'all crazy? Not handling it well.
She was like the first, because she was like not just for her immediate family. She was like the person everybody in the family communicated with, wanted to do something like, well, Ari will do it, Ari will do it, Ari will do it, even when she couldn't, but she would step up and do it, and it made it seem like she could.
Right. And I think that's a lot of Black women. We see that a lot in our community, because we don't always feel like we have a choice. So there is no time to cry about it. Like, you just do it, right? Like, everybody knows somebody like that. Some of us are like that. You just do it. And I think that it was important to see her realize, like, no, like, I have to put myself first, and to see her also be loved fully and completely, not condemn her for being strong or for being goal oriented and all the things that she was. Because a lot of times the successful Black women, we see it online, and people say how, it's hard to date because men can't, sometimes their ego, they can't tolerate that. And he literally had nothing, but he didn't.
He had a few dollars. He had a few dollars.
Dollars, but he stepped in. He didn't have to. And for Ari, because I am like that, it's hard to ask. And that was the one thing that she never had to ask him to do.
He was a very baby. That's what the thing was. He was initiative. He took initiative. He said, "Oh, these shelves sit here. I'm gonna put them together. Oh, this broke. I'm gonna fix it. Oh, this."
What have to do, it was never her. Like, they were always a team, and that was something she never had.
Baby, in that one scene when he came in and she was cooking and the trash was full, and that was the one for me. That was I had literally stopped dating somebody because let me tell you, I I stopped dating somebody.
I love that for you,
I
actually.
literally, this was during COVID, and we was at my house because you had to be at somewhere.
Yeah.
He ain't take the trash out or change the light bulb. I said, "Oh, that's not gonna work." It
Mm-mm.
is not the fact, like it's the initiative. Like you're a whole adult
I
man.
want to have to tell you what to
I
do
don't want to have to nudge you to say, "You see my trash." We've been eating, we've been chilling.
because it ain't gonna take itself out.
If I got to pull out this ladder to change this light bulb, because I'm short, okay.
Do, oh, hey, girl.
I don't like admitting that, but I am. I'm.
It's fine. I like it down here. It is what it is.
How far is down here for you?
Oh, I'm 5'1". I'm little bitty.
You tiny. You're like okay.
And what's funny is my husband is super tall, so I look like his child when we're out together.
Typically like that. So I'm 5'3", and I'm like, if I gotta pull out this ladder to change this light bulb, bruh, you're getting blocked.
Yeah, because why?
You're getting blocked. So I felt where 6 was coming from, bruh. If I come in this house and I gotta take out the trash, this my, I mean, not. I was about to curse. This my lady friend now. This my lady friend.
Yeah.
Like it was the small stuff, and I think to your point about Black women and dating. People like, well, if you already got all this money and you got your own place and you got your own this, what can I do for you? And it's like there are things that we still don't want to do,
Yeah.
or like there's still things you can do to take a load off of that person. To
Absolutely.
do those things.
And he did all of them, and she did.
And he did other things. He did things to her body that she said she ain't never had done before.
The girl was like, "Wait a minute, she was having the best 3 days of her life, and let me
She
tell
was
you,
having her time.
my girl was living free." Okay.
Hating ass sisters just had to go and ruin it. She knew y'all couldn't even hear. Okay, let's just skip to this part real quick. Her sisters was haters. They were jealous because while Ari knew she had to get 6 up at some point, she didn't get a chance to enjoy her last moments, like to do it how.
Who asked you?
Who asked you?
Place.
Who asked you? And I thought it was beautiful how that whole situation came into a 180 and how her sister had to eat crow because now you on your high horse all high and mighty gonna call the cops because you felt like I was in an unsafe environment, and now this man is the one keeping you and your family safe. Child, it was
How the tables are turned.
this was a good one. This was a good one. And it's a lesson in there for somebody, and I hope they read it. I hope the right people are picking up just not the story, but the lessons. And people really will stay married and miserable just for the sake of saying. I know if you on TikTok, y'all all done seen that viral video going forth, and I'm trying to get off my For You page right now. I want it wrap between this and Unc. Wrap this shit up by tomorrow, please. Wrap it up.
But it is a lot of married women that are single parents. And for me as the author, I think Kayla was the culprit. I think that Dana meant well initially. Kayla saw a way to start some mess, and she put the battery in Dana's back.
But that's another person who need to mind their own mess.
To mind their business for sure. But I think that Dana's fault was, why are you listening to Kayla?
Even with Kayla, mind your own mess. You can't even get your baby daddy to do the things you need him to do. Mind your own mess. Mind your own household. If I'm telling you this man is not causing me no harm and this is my friend, mind your manners.
Because if he wanted to take me up out of here with all them charges he had, baby, it would have been done. We're on day 3 and we're chilling. Leave us alone.
He wouldn't have been baking y'all no cakes.
Come on, like, please. We are having a good time here. And you can send the police don't send the police to my house.
As a Black woman, don't send the police to my house.
The police to my house. Are you crazy?
And I feel like their moment was snatched from them. And I think that's why so many people were like, wait.
And he was, even still in that moment, he was so calm and like just telling her what to do. And you need to get dressed and you need to. And she is mortified. Like, I can't get dressed. Bay is going to jail.
Bay is going to jail. Not 72 hours in, and this is the love of my life. Wait a minute, y'all.
I love this man, and now I have
I
to get
love this man. He pushes,
dressed.
he pushes the shopping cart at Target and pays, baby.
Going open no door, like what? Because even when she went to the door, she still was like, "Do you have a warrant?" And he come downstairs like, "Listen, come on, I already told you upstairs."
Baby, they for sure have a warrant.
She
They
was
for
like, "With the
sure
order."
have a warrant. Baby, they for sure. Y'all done gave these people extra time.
He's like, "Listen, if there's a will, there's a way. If they ain't got no warrant, you're not going today, buddy." She was trying, but he was like, "Listen, it is what it is."
And then fast forward, fast forward. Celeste was not. Celeste was not finna let that lie. Uh, she said this.
She loved that man too. She said, "I gotta get it." Look, he must have did
I feel so
it
indifferent about Celeste because I might be the only person who feels like Celeste had legs to stand on. Six was a little messy. Six was a little messy, okay? Six should have went to Necker House, okay?
he should. Well, I understand, but see, and the thing with that, knowing his sister though, because she track record either, and she be messing with some nothing ass niggas and that. Ooh,
But I still think he would have kept himself out of certain. Okay, I just feel like Six has to have accountability, and he did in this situation too, because that was messy. Yes, yes, he knew he did not feel no type of way about Celeste, and he had his reasonings, and he knew Six shouldn't have messed with Celeste from the get go. Let's start there.
Agreed.
King told everybody, "Don't mess with my little sister. She's off limits." But Celeste was a woman who knew what she wants. So you know how women get when they know what they want, they know what they want.
Yeah.
And she said, and he said, "It's only but so many times I'm gonna do this before I'm gonna do this." We have enough information to imply that about the backstory.
Yeah. It should have stayed a backstory though. That's the thing.
But they never had an actual relationship. And I understand why Celeste didn't take the Ari situation serious because Six never said, "This is a serious situation for me."
Yeah.
He knew how he felt. But Art, this I know you all your life. You knew this girl for 3 days. I'll beat you up. I'll beat you and her up. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I wanted him to be with Celeste. I'm just saying that I understand.
Sure.
I get what she's saying. You telling me that I've been holding you down. I did all this pro bono work to get you out of the prisons, baby. The only person I'm doing that kind of work for is the man. You got to come home and you, baby, lock it down.
And I think for Six, so the initial meeting in Target, I think for him, he felt like there's no point in explaining it because this about to be over. Like he knew he had accepted. I'm just here right now. I'm having fun. So there was no point for him at that point to then go in detail about what she meant to him because.
And I agree.
But when he got out, you kept saying, "We don't need to do this. We've been here many times," but then you keep doing it. And then you did it unprotected. Like you are too smart to be this dumb.
I felt like the day after when he popped up at Ari's house and he heard the name Seven and Ari said, "Well, we have twins." That's the same day he should have went to Celeste's house, packed up him items, and skedaddled. And he could have figured it out. Okay. Because I just felt like him staying at Celeste's house led to more drama than it needed to be because she was never going to let up. Because once again, in her mind, I understand why she thought the way she thought. I'm not saying but I
Because
get it.
they came back to each other. So why would this time be any different?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understood her.
She was
but
big.
then Ari has to some degree take some. Everybody played a part in it because at the same time you kept telling this man you need to respect my relationship. So he's thinking, all right, whatever, So he's doing him, but you should have been doing.
The thing about men I will never understand. Stop doing you with women that you know hold this torch for you. It's never going to end well. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Find a new woman. Find some. It's all these women out here. Already wanted to play this game. Go play it with her. But to do it for a woman that you know holds such a high torch for you, that is a dangerous game. I tell people all the time, y'all got to start watching Snapped again. Y'all got to start watching Snapped again. because
Really though.
it never works out.
But see, here's on the back end where I don't feel bad for Celeste because she's a manipulator. I think to some degree, she put him in a position to need her.
Yeah, of course. Ain't nobody going through all that for nothing.
And listen, because she better than me, because I tell you, go to jail, you are on your own.
And I agree, but the whole reason King put her through law school is so that he can have somebody on the team for when his men's get jammed up. Now, you want to talk about manipulator? That's a manipulator. That man is manipulative.
When I tell you there's an alternate ending that ends with a bullet in it,
I'm glad it didn't because it would have been too risky. And
let's read this. We really shout out to them because they were in the trenches with me. They went through every version.
No, I can understand why, but that would have been too risky for Six was on his third. You know, it's like if I get caught up one more time, this ain't this life that I now know that it's possible for me.
Yeah.
So I get why it wasn't, but you want to talk about manipulative? She didn't have a choice but to be manipulative because when you are groomed, when people think about grooming, they only think about it sexual. Mm-hmm. But when you are from certain environments, certain people, think about the basketball players where the niggas in the hood say, "Oh, you can't do this or you can't do that because you're going to make it out." That comes with a certain price tag.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like when the nephew wanted to play basketball, he said, "You don't understand. This comes with a certain price tag, and that's real." Yeah. So it's not so Celeste. She was groomed in a way to be a manipulator because she was raised by the ultimate somebody who was a manipulator. He saw young men who were struggling, didn't have family, didn't have a way out, and said.
And even Six he saw it on the back end. He started to realize like this, what I thought was this
my family. It was no loyalty. It was no love. It was
me essentially. And he saw that through Jason, who their bromance. I loved it. That was an unexpected not playing. Jason was not supposed to be. I don't know where he came from, but I love their bromance in the end. Like I thought it was so cute, and it was.
I think that was needed. So for Dana, for that whole Dana 180 to take place, so she could see you're a good person on paper can make horrible decisions because on paper her husband was the good decision, right? He was a regular 9-to-5 worker. He wasn't from the hood. He didn't have no
physically anyway, but
he was there, but he was emotionally not there, and he ended up beating your ass. Whereas that's what happened. You wrote the book. You laughing for it. What you laughing like I made this up? You made this up.
I mean, listen, now everybody's distraught.
You made this up. I didn't make it up. You made it up. She gonna start laughing like I made that part of the story up. She gonna say, "Girl, you made it up. That came from your head."
I'm just the vessel. I'm just here.
You gonna look at me like, "Oh, he did, girl. Yeah, you wrote it. Shit, I didn't write it."
Fails. I'm just here.
So it's like that the dichotomy of, especially for Black people, what's a good person?
Yeah.
What's a good person? Because this man was in the gang and got a rap sheet and tattoos all over him. He's a bad person.
And he's literally the sweetest.
He's not. But it's easy to judge a book by its cover that way.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Dana, you got this husband who your kids don't like him, and you're trying to save face because you don't want to seem like a failure.
Because them kids did not like that man, especially sick of him.
Yeah, I think that definitely was a part of it. But do you feel like Ari got full closure, or that was a part of the story, like you said, that it had to take a second part to the back, a part of the background, because they are really get closure with the situation with her mom and not knowing who her dad was.
No, and I think that's sometimes life. You
don't get closure.
You just have to and I know that it's fiction, and we don't want to bring too much real life into it because a lot of people read to escape real life. But that of it is that you're not always going to get the answers that you want. And how am I going to make peace with that? How am I going to move forward? Because there's a lot of us dealing with crap right now, and it's not gonna work out ideally, but you can't, what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna let it break you or define you? Like, you have to find a way to be okay even though the situation sucks.
I have a question. And we do have some viewers. Nobody's talking. Oh, we had, hey, Royce. We got one person talking. Nobody's talking in the chat. I have a question.
Yeah,
As a woman, not as the person who wrote the book, but as a woman, was Ari wrong for keeping the pregnancy and children hidden from Six, despite the circumstances?
I don't think so. And
Mm.
I did a live discussion in my group, and everybody was very upset about her. It's like, she didn't even apologize for it. She did what she thought was best at the time. Now we can go back now, that it's been 5 years and he's free. We can go back and, judge. But in that moment, she did what she thought was best for everybody.
15 to 20 years, some kids was going to be grown and drinking by the time he got home.
Why am I'm not dragging my pregnant self up there. I'm not dragging my kids through that. So, and he went to jail. They didn't end badly. It was just a bad situation. There was still a lot of love there between the two of them. And I think, like she said in the book, I stand by her decision and her why. It would have broke him. It would have broke him. So I'm not gonna do that to him. I'm not gonna do that to. This is just where we at. If I keep him, this is the decision I'm gonna make, and I'm gonna ride with it.
Mm.
So I don't see where she was really wrong. I mean, I do feel like he had the right to know, but given the situation, what do you do? What do you
That's a good.
do?
I don't know. I don't know. I
She
don't know.
didn't know anything about him. She didn't really know his family. He lied, told her the family moved. She only had a first name for the, like, what was she supposed to do? She had knew that man for 3 days and got pregnant. She was just a big girl about it, and I'ma just do what she did what Ari always, I do what I have to do. There's
She
no
showed.
about
She
it.
showed us on.
If I'm gonna keep him, I gotta do what I gotta do, and that's what she did. So I
All right. We talked about Celeste real quick. Did Chase ever stand a chance?
I think Ari wanted him to, but I
Did
think
he, did he allow his insecurities to get the best of him, or did he could he really had been with Ari and allow she and Six to co-parent?
so. Here's the thing. I'm with cousin Jamel when he said your man should have just stood up. Everybody played a part because Six, it was not innocent. He kept picking and poking for
Oh, he
sure.
was an antagonist for sure in that situation.
But Chase, you should have shut that down early. You let that man play with you. And because at this point, this is your woman. Like, the kids aside, this is your woman in your relationship. You gonna let that man take our what? You haven't lost your mind. You should have punched him in the mouth then and set the tone. If we're being like, because that is wildly disrespectful to say to another man, another grown man, like ours. I don't care if she has your kids or not. You've lost your mind.
A little bit. A
So
little
he
bit.
should have popped them in early and set the tone that I'm not even playing these games with you. And maybe he could have stood a little bit of chance. And I think there's a reality where if he was a different guy, Six could have lived. But if you're not gonna be with me, you're not gonna be with him because he can't even take the trash out. I don't feel comfortable.
Can't take the trash out scene, baby. I said hello.
I don't feel comfortable leaving you with him. Like, why would I leave you with him? So maybe if he was a better man, Six would have. Now, he was gonna pick in the beginning anyway. But once he maybe saw the relationship and he was a better kind of guy for her and could love her the way she deserved to be loved, he would have stepped back. But he didn't see that. So he said, I gotta step in. I gotta do what I have to do because nobody
Even
else.
if Celeste would have kept the baby.
Oh, I think he knew if she kept the baby, I think he would have let it go because I don't think he loved her enough. Because there's some fictional book babes. It's like, no, you gonna be with me. I don't care what this is. But I think he loved her enough to know that Celeste is finna drag me through hell, and I don't want to put her through that. Because honestly, also she was just
Which
jealous.
I don't understand women like Celeste because he's still not going to want to be with you. Like, not even talking about if she would have kept the baby. Like, why drag him through hell? Like, you're making your own self miserable.
I think in her mind she felt it, or maybe wanted to believe that the only reason Ari was on this pedestal is because of the kids, when really it wasn't. She was just it for him, honey.
You went and got him out of jail, and the next day he was at her door. He knew nothing about them kids. Okay, I think he walked. Quite personally, you never said in the book whether he drove or what. That nigga had muscle memory and walked to her house. It was like, hello.
They have been dreaming of that walk for 5 years.
That nigga levitated to her house. Like, hello, hello, surprise.
But I think she thought that it was the children. She didn't want to believe that it was really Ari. Like, it can't be. It's got to be because of that. So if I level the playing field, then. But no, honey, because
That
it was.
I hate how people use children as this. Because the only people who end up suffering are the children. Well, I mean, other people end up suffering, but the people who end up suffering the most are the children.
Yeah, but she got nasty in the hospital. When I wrote that hospital scene, I had to stop for a minute. I said, "Oh, girl, where that come from?" Because you got still mad, like not you crazy to him.
I didn't even know you could put curse words together like that, girl. Hold on now.
Like, Celeste, who is this other side? Is really this hormones are bringing out another side of you? Because now you got my man riled up, and he got to remind you that listen, I'm still.
He is still a part. He was a gang member. Okay, he was a murderer.
I'm him, and that. So why would you play with me like that? Like maybe somebody
because people think that they're special, and they think they're the exception to the rule, and then you got to find out that you're not even close.
Not even because baby, he was finna take you up out of there in that hospital.
He said, baby, if I ain't want you or this baby, trust there are ways that this can be dealt with where I ain't even
like the baby.
If I really wanted you to not have this baby, trust there are ways.
Even though he wasn't happy about it, he still always stepped up and did what needed to be done. I'm here. I'm trying to help you eat. And she was just nasty to everybody.
Yeah. The sister I feel like the sisters be overstepping their boundaries a little bit. And instead of allowing a chance to see what was going on, she had only seen this one thing. And I didn't like how she approached Ari about, oh, you hit my like you don't even know the whole story. Give peace a chance, sister. Give peace a chance.
And on the surface, I understand. But like you said, she just went too hard about it. Like I could get initially when he told her, it's like, what? Wait a minute, hold on. You got these big kids. She ain't say nothing. But also, like Ari said, where were you, sister? You see what that mean? My man. Where was you? Because where was you?
Where were you? Because this man not only left me with babies, he left me with a bag full of money. So where were you?
Go find you and give it to you. And she asked before when she was like, when he left it to her, she's like, I don't think this is a good idea. You sure I can't take it? And he told her, he was like, there is nobody else. So clearly there's the disconnect, but she be in her own stuff with her men. So she, but too hard on Ari for sure.
She did go. It's okay, Jennifer. We about to wrap up, but you can go back and watch it. It's going to be on the YouTube and get you a little giggle. Leave a little comment. It's all right, Jennifer. How you doing? If you had one message you wanted readers to be left with after reading this story, what would it be?
For women, I think, well, for anybody else, it's don't settle.
It's so easy to say that though. People love saying that, but it's so much easier said than done. I'm not gonna settle, but I'm just saying.
And it is though. And I think some of settling comes with, okay, so here's a bigger, be honest with yourself. Because I think a lot of settling is just you not feeling maybe that you deserve the things that you're looking for or asking for. It's like, no, that's too much. And it ain't. Because somebody gonna do it. If he want to be there, he gonna. If he wants to, he will. And that's just about. So I think the bigger bad or limit yourself. If that's what you want and that's what you desire, either they gonna give it or they not. Because 6 gave it, honey. He did all.
Will we see any of these characters in the future? Oh, you thought you was gonna get out of here without answering that? Silly you.
Oh, it's hard. So here's the thing. Again, another trick that I played with myself was I gave all the side characters names that would never be a main character in my book. So everybody, because if I don't like the name, then I can't commit to it. And the only people who really intrigue me enough to maybe do one is Jason. I could see him going off to college, big basketball star, and he's dealing with all of that. His dad may be trying to be around. He don't really know how to navigate it, or just getting himself into being young and in college, and you got all these women, and you're the big guy on campus. And I could just see him getting into stuff and constantly needing Six and calling him. But I hate his name. Jason is, it's not main character, it's just regular. It's just Jason. It's Jason. But I could see that being like, that could be fun. In an alternate ending, he was supposed to pull up to try to kill King, and then Six was gonna figure it out because but yeah, he was, after he got jumped, he was supposed to have just bought a gun off the street, because we know how easily it's they're at family dinner, and he's acting weird, and nobody notices it but Six, obviously. He's like, I'm going with my friends, and Six is like, you're lying. So he follows him. Fronts him like, what are you doing? Are you stupid? What are you doing?
Big stupid. In his generation, that kind of behavior has been minimized so much that they don't realize the gravity of what that actually means.
They don't. This generation don't. Teenagers anyway. They don't understand the gravity of there's no accountability.
It's been glorified in a way that everybody do it. Everybody did it, and it's like this. It comes with a certain severity. Like, not even talk about the consequences, repercussions. I'm talking about as a human. That's not something you're supposed to be doing.
And that's where the idea for the spinoff came, because everybody thinks it's so easy to kill somebody. So now you have killed this man, and you're in college, and you're struggling, but you can't tell nobody why you're struggling, because that would be admitting to murder.
Yeah.
And you're having
enough other reasons to be struggling, like seeing domestic violence, having that emotional void parent, seeing your mom have to rebuild her. Like, that's enough to be struggling with. So he got enough on his plate. Being a big basketball star, that's enough. He got enough on his plate.
Yeah. But I took it out because I was like, Six can't. But baby, I had literally had it written in my notes, the after scene of Six getting into him. Like, putting him in the car, pulling over later when they're away from the scene, and yoking him out. You have lost your mind.
Yeah, I can see, like, I can understand why that would be a good book. That'd be a good book, because I like that kind of drama. That's my kind of reading right there. Yeah. Like, let's get into, because I like psychologically layered reading. So that would be right up my alley. Like, if you want to slide me the pages, I'll read it. But so we probably won't see these characters again. I think this was a good wrap. Like, I don't think, like, it's a very fulfilling wrap. Like, it's not, I don't even need because we end with the proposal. We know they're getting married. We know that he's going to treat her right. I feel like these kind of books, we don't even need like a catch up. Like,
I agree.
You're not going to get, it's no more drama. The drama's done. This is the kind of couple where they say that they're going to be together. They're just going to be together.
Yeah, they're going to make it work. They didn't beat the biggest odds at this point. Like,
yeah. Like, I feel like sometimes a book leaves you just like, oh, I could get a little bit more. I feel like this was the perfect, all of the question marks got answered. They're engaged. They're having another baby. He's there for all of that part. He gets the experience that the twins have come. The twins are okay with their parents being together. There's no drama there. Like, nobody's going to be acting out in school. There's no issues.
Yeah, it's nothing. They're good.
Well, I just want to say thank you. I think this was a wonderfully written book. This is not my first Kaylyn book, but this was my first short story that I've read, and I was actually like, I like that. So you might have turned me on to short stories now. We'll see. But I am even more glad that we got a 600-page file.
When I tell you, it could have stuff I had to cut, because I'm like, girl, we are never gonna, like, this book never gonna end. Hang it up.
It's a beautifully written story, and it definitely was what the message I got. Sometimes gotta look beyond the cover of the book. Don't judge a book by its cover. Six was easy to look at a man at your front door with tattoos and say, "Can you help me?"
The police sirens in the background.
Can you help me? That don't mean go do it though. That don't mean go do it. That don't mean you go do it.
That's not what I'm telling you to do.
if you meet a gentleman out and he might happen to
Right.
have a conversation with him. You
Yeah.
never know what you might find. For those who don't know, where can our sister girls keep up with you and possibly your next releases?
So on Facebook, I am Kaylyn Kiera. I have a reading group, Kaylyn's Corner, and there's also TikTok and Instagram that are both author Kaylyn Kiera. So I'm around. I'm in my active era on social media, so I'm
I
trying to
love it.
be better. Put myself there because I'm a horrible at marketing as an author. Like, girl, this is your job. Like,
Well, let me tell you, this book they word of the mouth, and this book right here, everybody was talking about it.
thank you. I'm so
So
glad that everybody
it
loved it.
was, yeah,
I
it was a wonderful read. You did that.
I don't
So
know what I did, but thanks, y'all.
I think it was the short story aspect of it where it was like you knew what was happening, and then you read it and was like, no,
It
no.
was just the amount of people like, I can't believe he went to jail. I'm like, where did y'all? How did y'all think this was going in? Because he was going to jail.
If people can come back from the dead, people can get out of jail. That's all they was trying to say. That's
Like,
all they was trying. People come back from the dead all the time, so that's all they was trying to say. If we could make that work, we could make this work. That's all they was trying to say.
yeah, and I just took it more so as like people really enjoyed it. So to me, it was a compliment. But I'm just like, y'all knew he was going to jail from the beginning.
It was a good book. It was a good book. No lie. Thank you, Kaylyn, for joining us. I hope the rest of you enjoyed our chat and enjoy your week. And we will talk to you one more chat before summer break in May. And that book will be being released shortly.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the
Of
opportunity.
course, we loved having you. We love this book. So thank you.